do. I do drive on the Edens almost every day. And the amount of Teslas that almost take me out, I would say is close. So I'm going to start playing Kryptonite while I'm driving. Michelle, thank you. Thank you for sharing that story with us. Thank you for sharing your journey, whether you're a parent or not a parent. When you're caring for someone that much, we can all relate to that, and I just really appreciate your story so much. We're very lucky to be welcoming to this stage our friend, Audrey Farber, who has been here before, and I couldn't be happier that she's here again. She is a transgender activist who has had her life revitalized by discovering storytelling. I believe it was here. She just loves the community and is grateful for the chance to demonstrate that trans people are just people. Nothing more, nothing less. Please help me welcome to the stage again, Audrey.
How did I become a hugger? It started with Jim. He's my male alter ego. I don't remember hugging in our family when we were growing up, so it must have happened somewhere along the way. Maybe it was our daughter coming on the scene, or the arrival of our first grandchild. This I do know. From early on, our grandchildren, Jim was a stickler about having a hug upon arrival and then a hug upon departure. There were times that he had to chase them, which they found to be fun and not so much for him. It did not take too long until he could not catch them anymore. When he stopped chasing them, the game ended and they started giving volunteer hugs again. I have never been the recipient of a hug from them. Back in the mid-90s, my trans friend Dorothy, who's here, invited me to her apartment for dinner. This was a big deal because I was very afraid and only went to very safe places. Going for dinner was so unprecedented. I was still working on how to express my feminine self. Everything was so new. At the end of the evening, Dorothy walked me to my car to demonstrate that she was not afraid, and I should not be either. I was grateful and went to give her a hug, but I did not know how to girl hug. I went to give her a hug, a side hug, as I had seen women do in movies. I expressed my dismay at not knowing how to correctly hug as a woman. Dorothy told me to hug as I always do. She said, there's no such thing as a girl hug. Hugs are whatever you feel comfortable doing. I gave her my usual connecting hug and left feeling supported. There's a transgender gathering at a piano bar once a month in Arlington Heights. You're all invited. There's a boutique near the bar that sponsors the event and makeovers prior. Rory, the owner, encourages the newly made up and outfitted trans women to stop by the piano bar. This event is always a party with dancing and lots of trans people meeting and trading stories of their journeys. It is so important to find your community and to be able to share your unique journey. The transgender journey is incomprehensible to those not experiencing it. It is also fun to interact with some of the unsuspecting people who just wander into the bar. There's so much curiosity. When I'm at the piano bar, I watch for people newly minted by Rory. They stand around looking afraid and forlorn. When I see one, I introduce myself and ask if they would like a hug. Most often they do. Then when I ask what their story is, they tell me, you can learn more about a person after an affirming hug. My friend Danielle recently shared a memory. Not long ago, when she was a newbie, she had gone to Rory and then continued to the piano bar. When she arrived, I approached her and offered a hug. When she recounted this recently, she started to tear up. That hug was a powerful moment that we shared. I don't remember it, but she did, and that's the important thing. Not long ago, I started going to church as me. My wife and Jim joined church about 30 years ago. Jim outed us to church over 5 years ago. Anyone paying attention would have known about my presenting in two genders. Still, when I showed up at the service for the first time wearing a pretty fall dress, people seemed, well, confused. I felt very alone and vulnerable, even sad. Did I belong here? I didn't feel it. Maybe any woman walking in alone would feel as I did, but my isolation was magnified by my having been in that space for so many years as Jim. Our daughter got married there, grandkids were baptized there. When it came time to give the sign of peace, I wandered shaking hands with those that Jim knew. They did not know what to make of me. Then I encountered John, who had worked with Jim on a project. John initiated a hug. So brave, so surprising, so needed, so affirming. Hugs change everything. Jim and our wife were at a Labor Day luncheon at our friend's house this past year. It was a small gathering. A couple that we know was there because of our hosts. Mitch is a retired music teacher. She was at our house once and saw that I owned a ukulele. I had always wanted to play the ukulele since I was at a party as a kid, and someone with a uke entertained the hell out of everyone. Also, I heard the story Hear It Louder Than a Mom, where a young storyteller played the uke while telling. She was so entertaining. I thought, I can do that. Mitch pitched the idea of Jim joining the group of uke players that she was leading to do a Halloween concert. She said, "The ladies will love you." When this happened, I was alone with her and her husband. Outing myself is never easy, but when my wife is present, it's like a betrayal of her. I blurted, "I am transgender." I often present as my girl self, who's also a storyteller. I would love to incorporate the ukulele into my telling. That's not happening anytime soon. Mitch gave Jim the info to sign up, and I did. I had no idea how Mitch would respond to me. When I walked in, she greeted me as Audrey and gave me a big hug. Now I'm starting to tear up. She introduced me to the group as her friend who does storytelling. She used the correct pronouns, which apparently is not that easy. Each time we met, she hugged me upon arrival and when I left, setting the tone for the rest of the group. On Halloween, we did a sing-along to a room full of family and friends. I was bad, but I was there. In the process, I found my girl's singing voice. Now I'm friends with Mitch and her husband too. That hug was so important. A few years ago, I marched in the Buffalo Pride Parade. This parade used to march through neighborhoods. People watched from their front lawns. I started out carrying the banner for the group, but my need to hug people had me pulling it toward the crowd. I was soon relieved of my duties. This left me free to roam. I started hugging people. I came upon what I assumed to be a young boy, maybe 10, sitting in a lawn chair watching the parade. They were wearing a trans flag over their shoulder. I asked if they would like a hug. They got up and approached me. We hugged. As I was leaving, they said, "My name is Marsha." I said, "Hi, I'm Audrey," as the river of the parade pulled me away. They then shouted, "I just came out today." That hug might have been Marsha's first. I wonder what her journey has been since then, trying to navigate in this hostile world. My heart breaks. Jim went skiing this past March to Steamboat Springs. He was with his usual group of younger guys. He met Kathy on the slopes through a mutual friend. They connected right away. She looked out for him as the group headed down harder runs than he was wanting to go down. Drinking at the end of the day, he outed us to her. As often happened, she offered a hug of support. I told her that I'm not planning on being around in 2026. Either the government will collect me and send me to El Salvador, or I will be killed at a rally supporting trans people. Bad things are surely coming. She offered to take me in and protect me in Steamboat when they do. Even though I was presenting as Jim, I felt like we had created a powerful girl connection. At the end of the night, we hugged again. Being right-handed, I led with my right arm. She said that it's better to hug from the left, so it's heart to heart. We switched sides and hugged again. Wow, I thought I knew everything about hugging. It seems that we made a friend for life, but it didn't work out that way. She was going to have the ski crew to her house for a vegan meal, but rescinded the invitation. Don't know what happened, but I am warmed by the thought of the heart-to-heart hug, and I think that going to Portugal or Norway makes way better sense. I was invited to a women's retreat at our church. This was remarkable because, well, for the obvious reason, and also because I'm an agnostic. Agnostic is Greek for I don't know, which is logically the only reasonable belief to hold. The minister who invited me knows that I'm a non-believer, but she also knows that I believe in the teachings of Christ and how we should treat each other. I feel that I'm more Christian than those spreading the hate in the name of Jesus. I definitely am, actually. So I was invited and I went. It was very affirming. The theme was, you belong, and I felt like I belonged. Questions were posed. One of the questions that was, where do you feel the presence of God? I may be an agnostic, but that does not preclude my feeling the presence of God. I thought and replied with the idea that I feel God when I connect with people, and I connect with people when I hug them. Full, affirming, I accept you where you are, hugs. I feel God then. I was on this very stage a few years ago. I was telling a story about my family and their lack of support in my trans journey. About 90 seconds into the story, I hit this line. I have been there for all of them, in good times and bad. I started to cry. Now I'm starting to cry again. I really started to cry. I tried to carry on, but I could not see the story, and I was near hyperventilating. I need a Kleenex, goddammit.
Do you need a hug?
A hug. I should have anticipated it. Sorry. So where'd I stop? I'll do this one again. I started to cry. I really started to cry. I tried to carry on, but I could not see the story, and I was near hyperventilating. The weekend before, I had outed myself to Larry, who's also here at dinner with friends. I did it covertly so my wife would not hear. I told him that I would be telling this story the following week. I encouraged him to share my being trans with his wife and whoever he deemed appropriate. It's just easier that way. So I'm sitting here in Martyrs, and Larry and Yvonne arrived with other friends, Mike and Heidi. I didn't see that coming. None of them had met me before. There were lots of hugs. So I'm here on this very stage, drowning in tears, not knowing what to do. I was thinking that I could not finish. The pain was so raw. It was just standing there. I was just standing there crying, and Heidi, who's here, appears on the stage next to me and gives me a huge hug. She had just met me like an hour before, but she saw that I was struggling. That the only thing that she could do was offer a hug. Time out on the field. It was a God hug. I was able to gather myself and complete the telling, stopping occasionally to cry. Not pretty, but that hug gave me the strength to go on. Likely some of you were here. Back here years later, the lack of support from my family is weighing on me again. Because Jim has made such a big deal about hugging with my family, a lot of hugs still go on, but the hugs are largely ceremonial. It's hard to connect with someone who fears that you will damage their children. They are never God hugs. It is hard to fly with an unaccepted family on your back. You cannot make someone love and support you. So what can be done? You shake it off. Shake them off. That's what I wrote. Shake them off. I used to think that without family support, I was on this journey alone. I was wrong. I have built a new family of friends. Many are here tonight. By freeing myself, I am learning to fly. Hugs are a big part of what lifts me. Be generous with your God hugs, and then you can fly too. Thank you.